Live, Sybil.
We're
We are
live.
live
Hello,
now.
everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and the gang is all here. Hello,
Bang,
Chris
bang.
Paul.
What up?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How you feeling?
I'm fine, thank you. And Huggy Lowdown, welcome back.
What's up, Sybil? All
How
the all
you?
the all the cast members had to renegotiate their contracts, so now we all together again, Sybil.
This is
Well,
like
I'm
a
glad negotiations worked out.
Yes.
this is like a reunion show at the end of the season.
I know.
Right.
Right. And Coy, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good.
Despite this
Oh,
Mercury retrograde going on.
How long is this Mercury retrograde crap gonna last?
she been calling that Mercury retrograde for quite some time.
Yeah, for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Well, I call them every time it happens, but I think this one ends on the 15th, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Chris and Huggy, you guys have been busy doing shows and everything. I know you got one coming up for Mother's Day weekend. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
How's business? How's the comedy biz?
Business is. Go ahead, Chris. How do you describe it?
I mean, right now we're all about that business of setting sail next week.
Yeah,
It's next week, bro.
It's next week, bro.
it's week after. Yeah, week after next.
Next weekend, not this weekend, the following weekend.
Right. This
Bruh.
weekend is Mother's
You
I
Day.
know.
are kidding me.
Bro,
Yeah,
I've been trying to tell you, bro.
You got to start cleaning your washing your drawers and get ready.
No, Sybil, I can't even fit my old drawers. You know it's a problem when you outgrow your drawers, Sybil.
I know that makes
I
things
might
a
have
little
to
tight.
cut some slits on the side. So
I talked to Tom Joyner yesterday. He's in training.
okay,
Yeah, you know how he does.
yeah,
He'll be ready.
He'll be ready.
Oh yeah. I don't think he's gotten out of training, guys. I think he's been doing it.
It's embedded in him.
Yeah, absolutely. He's
Right.
he's very excited and getting in. He said he's doing curls right now. He's doing curls. So good for him.
He's
And
taking over the practice team.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
R.P. John, man. R.P.
Yeah.
Yeah, RIP
Yeah.
Coach John. Yeah.
Coach John.
Absolutely. Coy, welcome back. And let us move into, there's so much going on. Let's move into the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our Monday through Friday newsletter. We'd love to have you subscribe. It is absolutely free. This is the newsletter that we have stories in which we super serve the African American community to inform and empower. And it is, did I mention that it's free? Please go to sybilwilkes.com to sign up and give us your name and your email address. We'll have it in your email box every Monday through Friday morning. And we aim to inform and empower. And Coy, you have a story, an ongoing saga. And this is involving, and now New Yorkers are protesting and asking for justice for Jordan. Who is Jordan? Tell us his story.
Yes, so last week we brought you the story of 30-year-old Jordan Neely, who is a Black man with a reported history of mental illness. He was riding the subway train, just kind of, complaining about his living conditions as a homeless person. And this is when an unidentified, and not that he's unidentifiable, but the police have yet to release any of his details concerning name or anything like that outside of his age, which is 24 years old. And he's a Marine veteran, decided to approach Jordan and take him down to the ground, choke him. He held him in a chokehold for about 15 minutes, which ultimately resulted in his death. He was pronounced dead at a local hospital. And there were, passengers on the train that were just kind of watching. There were a couple other people that were holding him down to restrain him. It's reported that Jordan was not violent towards any passengers or anyone like that. And no one's really sure why this veteran approached him and decided to choke him like this. He was questioned by police and released without charges. So now we're continuing coverage of this story, and we have now learned that Jordan was a former Michael Jackson impersonator who used to perform at Times Square. And his mother, Christy Neely, was actually murdered in 2007. She was found dead in a suitcase on the side of a road. And Jordan was 14 years old when this happened. He testified.
And he never recovered from that.
He never recovered. No, he testified in the trial, and the man was sentenced to 30 years in jail.
This was her boyfriend.
Yes, this was her boyfriend. And his father Andre Zachary said that he hadn't seen Jordan in the last 4 years, and he, since that murder happened, he just kind of spiraled into depression. So one of his neighbors said that the Michael Jackson impersonations that he did really helped him with his mental health issues. He was really good at dancing. It was just something that he really enjoyed doing. Since the fatal incident occurred, there was a protest of about 30 people on a subway platform where they posted a sign that said, "Who killed Jordan Neely?" There's been a lot of outcry on social media as well from a lot of different politicians in the New York area. And the New York medical examiner has ruled Neely's death as a homicide.
Wow.
There's an investigation going on, but there's still no details whether or not this 24-year-old Marine veteran will be named or
Well,
arrested.
he has been named.
It has been named.
He has been named. Yeah. His name is Daniel Penny. And he is, as you said, a former Marine and 24 years old. And a lot of people are, as you have said, people have taken to the streets and to the subway platforms to seek justice for Jordan after the death has been ruled a homicide. And they're going after Donald Trump's favorite person, that is the DA of Manhattan. According to those, they're waiting to see what will happen. Will he take this case to a grand jury? And what will happen? A lot of character assassination on the part of mainstream media and I dare say conservative media regarding Jordan and who he was, and that's why it's so powerful to see these people standing up for this young man who they recognized, and members of his family recognized, that he had mental issues, and also against this Marine who, as they show in the instructions, knew how to take someone in a chokehold without crushing their windpipe, which is what he did. And they show the videos and the complete instruction how to stop someone, but he did not stop.
Right.
So it'll be interesting.
15 minutes.
Right.
Wow. Which is excessive.
Very much so.
This is really Bernard Goetz.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking too. Yeah,
and it really has divided not just New York, but the nation. Whereas, I mean, you can just go on social media and see the comments yourself. There's just so many white people who just are fine with it. Like this guy, they're hailing this guy as a hero.
As a hero.
They're calling him
as a hero.
Even in mental health, our country is divided and segregated.
Right. Yeah, if you are part of the gun lobby, then you're calling mental health as a reason for a lot of these situations. And if you are not, then you're saying that there's something needs to be done. But I'm not guilty for it.
They minimize a person of color's mental health.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying that if the brother had been violent on the train, I don't care if he had stabbed somebody on that train, this soldier cannot commit murder.
Yeah.
Right.
You can restrain him, like you said. He knows how. You cannot kill the brother.
He thinks he's a hero, bro.
Right.
Yeah. And that's certainly the way that his lawyers put it, and others have come to his rescue. I dare say.
And he will be treated like a hero, just like what's the young boy's name?
Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Rittenhouse.
In Wisconsin.
Hailed, no matter what happens to him.
Right.
He'll be a hero, and he'll set up his GoFundMe and end up a millionaire.
Right.
Yep.
And have an Airbnb at Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah, sad but true. He will be scooped up by a lot of conservatives, and even when he goes, if the DA decides to take him to trial, they will be there to support him in protesting against the injustices once again against the Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg. So obviously this is a situation that bears watching, and it's such a tragic spiraling of this young man who, they tell the story of him and his mother and how the boyfriend, his mother's boyfriend at the time did to her, and how he made the discovery, and how he just never recovered. And that is something that, is to be a part of an investigation into our mental health care and mental health system. And and like we said, in Texas, now people are looking at the mental health of this alleged shooter that was killed in the shooting over the weekend at the Allen, Texas outlet mall, and people were talking about what strange behavior he had, and how he was kicked out of the army, and all of this, and looking for excuses to point to how one was able to get an AK and an automatic rifle and go on a killing spree. And that's our second story to talk about in our newsletter. And I was near another outlet mall when the
Wow.
when the news came down about shooting, and this mall is on lockdown, and I opened the story, and it was the one North Dallas suburb of Allen. And and it was so weird, the whole telling of the story and trying to get information, and even today, days after, coming together in terms of providing information and who the shooter was, who were the victims, how many were there, where are they, how did this happen. It was like pulling teeth from the police, and it made a lot of us very suspicious. My friend Kelly Harrington is like, there's something about this, and I don't know if he's yeah, I don't know if he's somewhere from outer space or what, but for whatever reason, I'm telling you, this happened at 3:30 in the afternoon, and by 9:30, 10 o'clock that night, still so many questions, and still it was almost as if he was connected to someone famous, or he had connections. It was just like, why aren't you telling us anything? And they knew who he was. They had,
because they gotta comb and go through all that and scrub and do all that before they release a statement.
and it was all of the news people are they're scrambling trying to fill the time until they get it, and the only thing we got was the fact that they were thinking that there was somebody else. That's why they were holding people in the mall. And it's kind of an outdoor mall. The mall is so big, it covers two sides of the expressway.
Wow.
And so, they were looking for a possible second shooter, and, and his ID was on there. So they knew where to go and to check him out, to go through social media, all of these things that eventually have come out. But I'm telling you, it was so, so weird the way that they all just responded to this, and it gave time for the congressmen who and other Republicans to make some really crazy statements about this, and meanwhile, you see these people
not crazy statements, Sybil, Republican statements,
very ignorant statements,
which seems to be the norm.
Yeah. And because they didn't know, but they were, they had to go to their email and see what was the line that they were going to use, what was the direction that they were going to go in.
What are they going to copy and paste?
Right. So it has finally come out that, and they were thinking about that, what was his age, and when they said, before they even gave his name and his age, they said Saturday night that they went to his home and to talk to his parents, and his parents were very confused. They asked for a translator. So already you're thinking, okay, so he's either Hispanic or Asian, or maybe from an African country or something. We just even couldn't get a sense of who he was. It turns out that he is Hispanic, 33 years old, and he was just so far to the right. He was a Nazi sympathizer. They showed the body tattoos that he had with SS markings and swastikas and all of this tattooed on his body, and sick messages that he had on a Russian social media platform. And no need to even really say his name, but his social media profile is chock full of hateful rants targeting women and minorities. And they said so much so that he had targeted this mall And for weeks, perhaps, he figured out the prime time when there was going to be as much activity as possible
Mm,
for him to do the
mm.
most extreme amount of damage, which sounds eerily reminiscent of the kid from New York that traveled all the way to Buffalo to kill the people in the supermarket, which
Right.
the anniversary of that is coming up.
Wow.
It is, if you spent that much time doing good in the world, just imagine what you could accomplish, as opposed to creating just mass murder and ending lives. Babies as young as 5. There was
Right.
one man who his son worked at the mall, and he said that his son called him and said, we're on lockdown. What should I do? And he said, well, he reminded him of the things that he had told him. He's a former cop, former military guy. And he said, ran it through all the things that he should do. And then he went over there to the mall. And he said he saw people and saw bodies just scattered in front of one particular store where his son worked. And he said one woman was just crouched. And when he just tried to put his hand on her, he said she had no face.
Her no face.
Oh
Her
my
face
God.
was
Had
gone.
no face.
Had no face.
How do you identify that? That's like the
Right.
children in Uvalde by
Right.
their clothes.
And thank God you had a police officer that
Was
wasn't
in the area.
a Uvalde like police officer.
yeah.
And went. He was about that smoke. He
Yeah.
went to
He ran towards
eliminate the
yeah.
threat. Yeah.
He ran towards the gunshots.
Right.
He just happened to be in the mall, they said, on another matter. So maybe he was on his break. I don't know. But thank God he was there, Huggy. You're absolutely right.
Right.
And immediately after the shooting, the Republicans go into their talking points because, of course, everybody on the left is, again, another murder by an AR-15.
Right.
But the Republican talking points: first thoughts and prayers, and then make it about mental health. This wasn't about this guy's. This wasn't about this guy's mental health. It was a terrorist attack. He was completely
terrorism.
insane. Right. He planned the entire thing. That's not insanity.
Right. And this wonderful man who went there to be there for his son, he said mental illness did not pull the trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Hate
intention did. Yep.
It was a hateful man. It was a human being that did this. It had nothing to do. And I'm not saying that, he didn't have some sort of mental illness. I'm not taking that away from him. But
in addition,
how can you just lean on that for every time that this happens?
Well, let's think about this. Are we going to have to deal in the years to come? Are we going to have to deal with a certain type of mental illness that comes from an entire segment of our population who has been living a life in the past 8 years, 10 years in denial of the truth?
Right.
Imagine a half of the nation who lives by under the lies being facts.
That's been programmed for 8 years.
I know. I'm saying so. At some point, it's like they're all going to snap.
Right.
And I think that many of them, Chris, as they stood there, and many of them were on lockdown. Many of them feared for their lives or saw the people who were mowed down. There was an Indian woman just here from India working on her degree. Asian people, almost an entire family. So it was, that kind of dedicated targeting that he did, and to see this and to see Black people and white people seeing this as they're but the grace of God go on. I think I'm hopeful, but they killed 21 people, 19 kids last year, and nothing was done. They went to the NRA convention just moments after this happened in Uvalde, Texas. What is it going to take? Even the president, he said those tweeted thoughts and prayers are not enough
at all.
We've got to do something more. I'm sorry. I am physically and psychically diminished as a result of working on this story. And I apologize for taking up as much time. But my point is, we have to do something about this. And voting is not the end, but we do have to register, and we have to remind people to vote, because statewide, in a state like Texas, and when you look at Tennessee and Florida and other states where they lift up the gun owners and allow teenagers to have these guns, we've got to do something to vote for people who are against this madness.
And again, the problem is half of this country doesn't see a problem with people owning assault rifles, but they have a problem with drag shows. Like, I'm serious. Drag shows are what's destroying this country.
Yeah. Yeah, and giving aid to children who are transitioning from one gender to another. Coy, what were you going to say before we wrap this up?
I think where the disparity lies is their mental health excuses them from committing murders, while our mental health gets us murdered.
It's crime. It's criminal.
Yeah. It's criminal.
And I think that's where we need to focus on showcasing the difference and why mental health is important, to heal, not to excuse crime.
Also in the newsletter on Mondays, we have Ministry Monday. The great Willie Mae McIver talks this week about salvation, what it is, and how you can get it. It's not something you can purchase, but we need this kind of conversation, as well as Black Health Matters. Check out those stories in the What You Need to Know newsletter. And we would love to have you be a part of the What You Need to Know news crew. All right.
It's heavy.
It is heavy, Hug. It is a heavy day. So my question for you is, in our What's Really Going On segment today, something that I've been thinking about and trying to craft it in such a way that we can get a lot of response. And I don't know how to ask you any other way than this. Joe Biden's numbers are at their lowest possible. I mean, it's almost historically low for any president in office, if it's not already there. The Associated Press is reporting that polls that have been taken, that Black folks are going to vote for Joe Biden, but the sense of enthusiasm is greatly diminished from 2020 to 2023. So my question to you, of varying ages, Black people, varying economic situations, having gone through the pandemic and the things that we have lived through in terms of violence and all the other things, but certainly pandemic related. Are you going to vote for Joe Biden in 2024? And I ask you this, and Coy, I'm really curious, because I talked to
that's Coy's answer.
Coy just gave us our answer.
That's Coy's answer.
She's like, I'm out of here. I don't have time for this. That is the question asking everyone. And I had a question with a young woman who was a radio personality today, and she said she's done. She said she just cannot see herself voting for Joe Biden anymore. And I was like,
as opposed to
what else? What's your alternative? Because if there's going to be someone who's going to run for a third party attempt at the presidency, that's not going to work. Your vote is just a waste.
Right.
And my godbrother sent me video a couple of weeks ago in our group text, in words for Trump. And they were a bunch of Black men, and all saying, how good they had it during Donald Trump's administration, that they don't like Joe Biden. And even if they were kidding, even if it's a joke that they sent out, just imagine. A whole lot of
clout chases, and you better believe it's always an angle for those
right.
Right. Always.
And so because the news people are going to go, are you serious about this? And and they're going to get all of this clout, as you say, Huggy. But a lot of people don't realize that it's a joke. And so a lot of people are going to say, well, Joe Biden ain't done nothing for me. And I'm really curious how you all feel about it. And also those that are watching today, are you willing to vote? And if you're not, what does Joe Biden have to do to get your vote?
Let me ask you this, Sybil. You mentioned enthusiasm in the last election.
Yeah.
And I'm asking all of you, did you enthusiastically vote for Joe Biden, or were you enthusiastically voting against Donald Trump to get him out of office because he was the worst president ever?
But
I'm saying, which one was your priority? Because you would have had the same enthusiasm regardless of who the candidate was, right?
Well, my priority was by a certain amount. I was voting for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I was voting for him and as well as the fact that he chose a Black woman as his running mate, and to make sure that the former did not win again.
But I think it'll become clearer to a lot of Black people if they go ahead and nominate Donald Trump as their candidate. And their candidate, are you telling me, Black people, your memory is so short?
Yeah.
That you would allow this man back in office because you don't feel like voting again for Joe Biden? That's just insanity.
I'm telling
you, legally eligible to run again, bro.
I mean, he will do things because now he'll do things that he could only dream of getting away his first term in office.
And you know he's gonna. You know what type tour he's going to be on if he's reelected.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He's been impeached twice.
Right
now he's been indicted as a former president. What more can you do to this guy?
to ruin
his
this country.
administration
would be the Avengers, bro. They would be the Avengers.
And yet there are young people. Here's one young woman who was a 22-year-old senior at South Carolina State and HBCU says she's disappointed in the president, feeling his accomplishments have so far not lived up to his promises. Well, if you think about the fact that we did not elect enough people to give him the support he needs to pass a lot of these things, and now we're coming up on the debt crisis conversation in which the Speaker of the House is trying to eliminate a lot of the things
Kevin
the president.
McCullough. And I'm sure that was Tim Scott's niece that he had some fentanyl in the liver pudding, Sybil.
So Chris, you're absolutely right. Where were my priorities and how much enthusiasm did I have? I'm not happy with where we are, but I know that we cannot put this all on his back and make it his fault.
This happens every time we get a Democratic president after a Republican president. There's all this chatter and rhetoric about, oh, this president didn't do what he said he was going to do. We're not in a good position. Nobody thinks about the 4 to 8 years that we just went through of money going in places where it shouldn't have gone, programs getting cut that we needed. Funding getting cut.
And Coy, they don't think about the fact that he tried to take over the country.
Exactly. But this happens every time. It is a pattern every time. And people fall for it every time. And then they jump on the next candidate that promises whatever that's a Republican just because to them it represents the entire solution, only because Republican presidents tend to be the ones that grant we were getting stimulus checks. Meanwhile, it's making the country broke.
And that's why we're so in debt now. And they want to cut out all the social programs, including student loan debt, including SNAP benefits for food stamps. You keep going, and all the social programs that Joe Biden tried to put into the budget, as well as a part of the pandemic, we are not getting it. We're about to lose it if Kevin McCarthy gets his way, and all of that money, $4.5 trillion that he's trying to eliminate in order to extend the federal debt.
He's a whore.
It's crazy. Chris, what about you? How's your enthusiasm regarding Joe Biden?
Oh no, I'm absolutely voting for Joe next time.
Riding with Biden.
And also, Joe
riding with Biden.
The Democrats have always done a poor job of getting their message out there too. Yeah. It's like we could sit here for days, even though the Republicans don't stand for nothing. We could sit here for days talking about what they are trying to push.
They got a good campaign, and they stand behind standing for nothing.
Right, no matter how ridiculous it is, like we just said, the drag shows or whatever else it is. Joe Biden and his administration have accomplished a lot of things, but it's a lot of things that the average American doesn't even know about.
Right.
But we're so fixated on hearing all this chatter and not doing our homework. Yeah. And not doing our homework.
People don't read, they don't care. And it can literally be the same exact cycle that it just happened 4 years ago. They were alive and and saw everything, and they don't remember. Clueless.
They have a whole lot of the media and platforms to push push that narrative.
And truth be told, they don't like Donald Trump either.
No,
You know,
we
I
know
mean,
that. The
we know Tucker
minion
Carlson
showed us
and
that.
all those,
Yeah.
you know, and what was going to come
Right,
out
right.
in the text and things like that. And Coy, what about you and your friends? What's the conversation?
Most of the conversation is surrounding student loans.
Yeah.
Everybody is concerned about that, and they're just confused whether or not they should be making payments. We're seeing a lot of different companies that are doing things like predatory lending. So I think that's what a lot of people around my age are more so focused on. I haven't heard any conversations about the president. They're more so concerned about this particular program because we're hitting the age where it's either paid off or we're approaching paying this off.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're looking for next. I don't think we're looking that far ahead yet.
And do they realize that it's incumbent upon us to elect people who are going to give Joe Biden the majority that he needs in order to get these things accomplished?
Yes, most of the people that I know are very politically aware of what's going on and what needs to happen in order for us as a people to get what we need and what we deserve to have at this point. But I am coming across a lot of ignorance, especially on social media. And at this point, I feel like I need a publicist to take control of my social media account so I don't continue arguing with these people on a daily basis in my comments.
Some of them you can't undumb some. You can't undumb.
Hug, what are they saying at the barbershop?
So if I hear that type of rhetoric and stuff at the barbershop, I just change barbershop. So I think I'm gonna get me my own clippers at some point. That's where you hear a whole lot of conspiracy theories in the barbershop. Chris can attest to this. We hear a whole lot of conspiracy theories in the barbershop.
I think as far as black voters go, it's not going to be the anti-Biden black people that will hurt him. It's going to be the black people who are just disinterested.
That's not going to show up.
And not going to show up. Not going to show up. That will sink the whole ship.
Right. That's not going to show up.
Right.
And those are the ones that complain the most.
Yeah. And what we need is for not only for them to show up, to register, to show up, to vote, because a story that I was working on for tomorrow has to do with the fact that Texas. This is the craziest thing ever. Texas,
Mm-hmm.
you can say Texas and start laughing and not even have to explain yourself.
Right. We know.
Texas is terrible.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Just
already.
Like that. So terrible.
So just check out the newsletter, because what they're trying to do now with the Secretary of State in Harris County, which is the largest county and the most diverse as far as Black and brown people are concerned, what they're saying is they're giving the Secretary of State the power to override any election results they don't like in a county that has 2.7 million people or more. Harris County is the only county that has that many people, and that's Houston and that area. And you don't even have to prove it to the Secretary of State, who is a Republican, by the way. All you have to just have a feeling that something is not right, and they can overturn an election.
Okay.
And they just passed that.
They passed it in the Senate, and it's in the House now.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm telling you, this is the craziest ish ever.
It is a purge. There's a political purge going on. So.
Yeah.
Throughout the country.
This is gerrymandering at its worst, Hug. You're right.
I mean, they are gerrymandering. I mean,
they're gerrymandering the gerrymandering. And they'll send it to a conservative Supreme Court. They will fight it and send it to a court, and the court goes, it's not that. If she's got a feeling, she's got a feeling.
Yeah. And they're going to have a feeling, Sybil.
Oh, they're going to have a feeling.
Oh, they're going to have feelings.
Yeah.
Time for another get your booty to the pole.
Yeah, exactly, Coy. So get your booty up on the pole and get their booties to the poles. Will you do that?
Gotta figure that one out. That one, I hope it wasn't a
Ain't no figuring. You know what to do.
You know exactly what to do. That's how you got here. So that is, I thank you all for bringing me off of the ledge there, because I thought I was losing my mind when I was talking to people today, and I'm like, because get outside and get some fresh air, and you're talking, so how you feeling, and people are like, I don't like him. No, it's not to like. It's not about like. My mother used to say, F a like. You don't need them to like you. You just need to do what you need to do.
Right.
And that's what I think he's doing.
Right.
With the best that he has available, because we haven't given him the people to support him
And he's
in
not
the House
Barack.
or the Senate.
And he's not Barack. You can't even.
He
you can't
is
even
not.
gauge
He
it.
never will be. No.
You can't even gauge it. I know he was with that administration, and he's not. He's
No.
not going to give you that.
He's
You know what I
Joe.
mean? He's Joe.
He's Joe.
And also, what I think is affecting people in the way they look at Joe Biden is because after the last administration, perhaps you just see Joe as boring. Like you see this administration is not, it doesn't stimulate you because
Right.
you don't
Like I
have
said,
any
Y'all are
scandals.
toxic.
He's
You're
not
toxic.
have
he's
any
not
scandals.
charismatic. He's not engaging. He's not
Right.
he's not Barack.
And
Boring is good.
he's a grandpa. You
And
know?
we know the media misses Donald Trump. You know, they had a lot more
Right.
people watching the news when Trump was
Yeah.
making a crap sandwich every day.
Right.
But now
right.
that you got no sound bites or anything from Joe
Right.
Biden saying anything controversial or nothing like
Right.
that. So that's why they want to whoever
they
is,
want who's going to make the
Right.
news.
The most Joe is going to do is forget to put his feet down on a Cannondale.
Let's move to trending topics. And first of all, guys, where are you appearing, Huggy?
For Mother's Day, I'm going to be at the shoot, I can't even think of Blue Dolphin, the Blue Dolphin Seafood Bar and Grill. So I'm doing restaurants now, Sybil.
You're doing two
but it's
shows.
2 shows. It's like a brunch and a dinner for Mother's Day with a comedian by the name of Mike Brooks and Sean Miller.
And you're going to have mamas laugh there.
Yeah, laughing. Hey, bring your mothers to see some funny mothers.
and don't worry, it's straight night at the Blue Dolphin that night.
I don't know what that
That's the name of the that was the name of the place in our police academy.
It was not.
Remember that?
The Blue Oyster. It was the Blue Oyster.
I'm sorry. I got
The Blue Dolphin sound like a porpoise on that Viagra.
A jazz spot for
A
porpoises. And Chris, do you have something coming up before the cruise?
Nope, just focusing on the cruise, baby.
Okay, work on and are you guys going to be doing TV talk on the ship? Have they engaged your services?
So, but we don't know what we're doing.
We don't even have a flight yet.
We don't even have a Sybil.
I know.
Sybil.
Okay, all right. Today
We don't even have a mustard drill vest.
On a serious tip, today is the day that Ahmaud Arbery should have celebrated his 29th birthday.
Wow.
Oh.
Today would have been his 29th birthday had he not been killed by some white men who chased him down and killed him.
Who says they weren't racist?
The Brunswick, Georgia community is celebrating the life of this young man whose life was taken too soon. He was gunned down while on a jog. Remember that Sunday, about 3 years ago. The 3 men convicted of his murder are behind bars for the rest of their lives. And over the weekend, friends, family, community members gathered together to remember and celebrate Ahmaud Arbery. And remember, because he was out on a run, they've had a run with Ahmaud, a celebration every year. And his father says it's important to celebrate the person he was. His life is going to be celebrated every day because he was that kind of kid.
Wow.
Because this is kind of life he wanted, because he always wanted to bring people together. He was loved. Ahmaud is a child you cannot forget, said Mr. Marcus Arbery Sr. The attorneys for the men found guilty, just to remind you, Gregory McMichael, his son Travis, and William Roddy Bryan have filed appeals for their federal convictions back in March. But let us hope that we do all we can to keep Ahmaud Arbery's name, keep lifting him up and his family as well, and run with Ahmaud and run for justice for these other people who have lost their lives to people who have done wrong by them.
It's unreal how many names that we know as Black people, names of people we know that we should never know.
Right.
We weren't supposed to know this guy's name.
Right.
We weren't supposed to know the name Trayvon Martin.
Right.
My
George
God.
Floyd. But I could go on and on and on. These are
You
people
could-
who now we could
Breonna
fill a whole
Taylor.
we could fill
Yeah.
a calendar.
Yeah. of
Several times
those
over.
dates of their birthdays and the days that they were killed.
People who were turned into hashtags.
right.
Household
Yes.
names.
By
Household
hate.
names now.
Yeah.
Hatred turned them into hashtags.
Yeah.
That might just be a great idea, Chris.
Wow.
To drive the point home. That's crazy.
This is also a really strange weekend. Did anybody watch the Kentucky Derby or hear stories about the Kentucky Derby?
Oh, I saw a video.
What'd you see?
I don't know. I heard something about some horses that was
7 horses died before the Kentucky Derby. 7 horses that were scheduled to run in the Kentucky Derby died, and now they're investigating.
If you were there, I hope you didn't order a burger.
7 horses have died at Churchill Downs since April 27th.
That sounds like some real Godfather-ish stuff going on there. So.
Yeah, 5. Yeah, exactly. And you know where those body parts ended up? 5 of the deaths happened in the week leading up to the 149th Kentucky Derby. 2 more have been euthanized after suffering injuries in races just hours before post time. The 7 horses who died are Wild on Ice, Take Charge Brianna, Code of Kings, Parents' Pride, Chasing Artie, Chloe's Dream, and Freezing Point. It's not normal for 3-year-olds to die. I don't care how much you work them out.
So a couple of years from now, it'll be a Netflix special. You better believe that.
Yeah, for sure.
Or a documentary. Or a documentary about this.
Did they fire one person?
Yeah, one person who's they say that his involvement with some of these horses had raised suspicions, and it was Joseph. His name is Safi Joseph Jr. He's been suspended indefinitely by Churchill Downs pending investigation. And
that ain't a brother. That ain't a brother.
It sounds like it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. You know, we did play a part in horse racing.
They had a trunk full of horsehair in the back of his car. In the back of his Camry, they found
the back of his Camry
several bundles of horsehair, Chris.
It's just I'm not a Kentucky Derby fan. You know, we used to have Derby parties when I was growing up, friends of the family and stuff. But this is just too much. This 7? Is too much. Yep.
Wow.
7 horses. 7 horses. I know people who have been talking about
Sybil,
this.
I know this might sound ignorant, Sybil. Were they black horses?
Chris is like, well, were they?
When we come back, we'll talk to one of the horses.
Okay. That sounds like a Morning Minute bit. What about the A's broadcaster, the Oakland A's broadcaster that supposedly slipped when talking about the National Negro League's Baseball Museum?
Yeah, that came out too good, Sybil. He said he went to the N-word.
Just so
museum.
It just came off.
And the other guy didn't even look like he's
right.
He was like, "Man, we were there. We were there."
Yeah.
Well, before I put my mind to that, I had to first look up to make sure that what he said didn't exist. Is there a second museum? Where they only inducted the real ones? Only the real ones. We know Jackie Robinson knew how to keep his cool. But you don't know about Ernest Jackson, who went up into the stands with his bat.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Not Big Ernie Jackson,
right?
Who just so happened to be the great uncle of Ron Artest.
A whole museum for real ones.
Y'all are so ill. So for those of you who have not seen this Oakland A's, the athletics broadcaster, has been just suspended. He hasn't, just suspended and not taken to class for elocution lessons for uttering.
They sending him to NA.
Right. They're suspending him for uttering what sounded like a racial slur.
That's what they said. Sounded
like a racial slur.
Really?
Yeah. Well, if it sounded like you went back to the tape, didn't you? And then you pulled him off the air.
Yeah, when ESPN first reported
You knew
this
it
on
didn't
their
sound
website,
like
they said they wrote like "seemed to say" or
Yeah.
apparently said. What? We
Yeah.
all heard what he said.
Of course, they're gonna do damage.
You know, we heard it.
With a
until
hard R.
until it becomes too much to cover.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He did not say the Negro Leagues.
No,
No.
he did not.
He didn't even say "Negra."
Right, right.
He didn't even
Showing
say-
his days in
he
the
didn't-
South. Yeah.
Bro,
Yeah.
yes, it just
he's
flowed
mean.
like
Hard R.
somebody had to call him like, you know what you just
You
said,
just
right?
said.
And his
What?
buddy just smiled the whole time.
His buddy was like, yeah, I was with him. We was
Looking
there.
like Barney Fife.
Yeah,
Roop, roop.
And why
we
did it? And he apologized on air during the
On
game
air,
in the
'cause
6th inning.
right.
What?
He
What?
said,
It
he
took you
said,
to the 6th
apologize.
inning?
It took you all that time for saying something
Because he
that
didn't know
didn't
he
come
said
out
it.
quite like I wanted it
I
to.
wanted to. It came out quite like I said in the car.
I cannot be any more sorry and horrified by what I said. I hope you will accept my sincerest apologies.
Sybil,
No.
did he say quite right or quite white?
didn't come out quite the
Quite
way.
white as he
Yeah,
wanted to.
quite
It
white
came
as
out
I
quite
wanted
white
it
like
to.
he wanted to, but not
But
quite
again,
right.
to show you how this country, the direction that we're headed in right now, we've been going there for a while. There was a time, you may be too young for this, Coy. There was a time when, as soon as that happened, everybody, black, white, Asian, Latino, they all know he's fired.
Right.
Right.
And no, but
Right.
now, at the moment it happened, I was on Twitter. There's nothing but white people saying, if the Oakland A's fire him, I will no longer be a fan. I can't
Okay.
believe you guys suspended him for this. Like, it was a mistake. I'm like, really? We
Yeah.
all know that if a white person says that on television, even in a mistake, like what's the white woman, the news broadcaster that got fired recently,
I was saying
and
Oh,
all she
yeah,
said
yeah,
was
yeah.
nizzle. She said
Right.
nizzle,
Shizzle.
yeah.
and she was fired.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was Kansas City, I think. This is Oakland, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Speaking of Oakland, Oakland great Vida Blue has died.
Yeah.
Vita Blue.
Vida Blue, the left-handed pitcher who won the 1971 American League Cy Young and the MVP awards as a 21-year-old,
Wow.
was
I
a
didn't get to
member
see
of
him
3
play.
World Series.
So I didn't get to see him play because I was growing up in Maryland, and you know,
It was all Ripken.
It's not like it is now where you can turn on your TV and see games 24
Across the
hours
country,
per day.
right.
But
We only had 3 channels back then, so
But
Right.
every time I saw him in that A's uniform, I was just blown away at this brother,
Yeah.
this black dude up there just killing them and just being a superstar. It was wow.
He was a member of 3 World Series championship teams with the Oakland A's. He was 73 years old. He made his Major League Baseball debut with the A's as a teenager in 1969.
that's how good he was.
That's how good he was. And
he
his
might be in
breakout-
he might be in your museum, Chris.
He's a real one.
He made his breakout 2 seasons later. A team that included Reggie Jackson,
Whoa.
Catfish Hunter,
Whoa.
Sal Bando, and
Whoa.
he was the best player that they had, going 24-8 that season, and a league leading 8 shutouts with a 1.82 ERA. That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. He went on to win 124 games and make 3 All-Star appearances with the A's, helping them to World Series titles in 72, 73, and 74.
And he wrote 3 of 2 Shorts hit records. That's how good this man was.
He was incredible. Unfortunately, he was sent to federal prison for cocaine possession.
Oh, he was a real one.
He was a real one. So.
He served 3 months in federal prison, and after sitting out 2 seasons, he returned to the majors for 2 final years with the Giants before retiring in 1986. Just amazing.
Guy.
He was the man. He really was. So
That's crazy. No superstar today would get sent to prison in his
Federal
prime.
prison.
Yeah.
Federal prison for coke. They get out of those things now, but back
Right.
then,
Bro,
Right.
he only got 3 months though, bro.
Well, you know, they're on the rampage of arresting black people with
With
coke,
cocaine. With
coke,
cocaine.
crack,
right.
crack, yeah, all that
Coke,
back then.
Coke, cat,
Crack, crack,
crack.
and quickly, does anybody know what really happened between Chris Brown and Usher over the weekend in Las
Oh
Vegas?
yes, I do.
Okay,
Yes,
so you
I
were there.
do.
What
I was
happened?
not there. I do have a friend that was there for the concert and
Okay, we
spoke
got
on what
just
happened
30
after
seconds.
that.
So what you got?
Usher threw Chris Brown a skating birthday party where Teyana Taylor attended. Chris Brown doesn't like her right now because he thought that she pulled out of a Michael Jackson tribute performance. It was actually the award show that canceled it. So he became combative with her. Usher tried to, bring the
Two things over.
situation down. Words were exchanged. They went outside, and apparently Chris Brown and his crew jumped on Usher, stomped him in the face. The next day at the concert, Usher shows everyone a selfie video, and his face looks totally fine. So we don't know what's going on, but it is reported that Usher did perform one of Chris Brown's songs at the Lovers and Friends concert.
And they showed Teyana Taylor
birthday.
dancing to it.
Yep,
It's
kept
crazy.
saying happy birthday. Yeah.
Come on, Chris. Come on.
He's got to stop. He has got to stop this.
It's not going to end well for him.
My problem is all this is deflecting from the real issue, and that's Genuine falling off the damn tree.
I was not
Huggy was there. Huggy, tell them exactly what happened.
Ever since I was a lowercase G.
He was singing in those jeans, Sybil. He tried to jump on stage with he ain't had no elasticity in the white pants, and plus he in his 50s, he couldn't stretch, and he tried to pull the sign interpreter down.
Right.
And he said, "I didn't sign up for that."
I said, the white man does not have our back, does he?
Oh, Genuine, I hope you're okay.
The Genuine was on the floor like this, Chris.
And he kept singing.
He kept singing.
Those jeans. They ain't say what was in the back of them jeans. He shot it.
Oh, Genuine. Oh gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Let's move to some other entertainment. Louisiana State University basketball star Angel Reese has been spotted posing for a Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. That's right. And pointing to the ring, right? The ring finger, right? Turns out you can see her, after all, in her next big gig, which is as a Sports Illustrated model in the swimsuit edition. She's been on top of the world ever since the Tigers went to a championship win over Iowa. And she is getting a ton of NIL deals, which is really great, her own personal license deals and other opportunities, including becoming an SI model. So good on her. And it appears that both the male and the female teams, basketball teams, are going to be in Washington at the same day, not the second place teams, but the first place winners are going to be, and they're going to go to the White House. No word on what Jill Biden is going to say to Angel Reese or vice versa.
When she was asked why she wasn't turning pro, she said straight up, it would be a pay cut.
Right.
I mean, she had so many endorsements.
Yes.
It would be a pay cut to go to the pros.
Yeah. And that's sad but true for the WNBA.
Right.
You're absolutely right. Congratulations to a young fellow who is the quarterback for a team that I used to love, the Chicago Bears, Justin Fields. Justin Fields went back to Ohio State over the weekend and got his diploma. He marched.
Congratulations.
He marched. He graduated from the Ohio State with a degree in consumer and family financial services. I've heard a couple of different majors that he's had, consumer and family financial services, also human ecology. I don't know what that means, but this I do understand. He was working while he was with the Bears and struggling through a season with the Bears for sure. As a starting quarterback, he worked to get his degree, and I'm sure he made his parents very, very proud. So
and I've been reading he's had an incredible offseason, and he's supposed to have an amazing season this year.
And they hope that they have given him a team to really work with this year in the draft because they had a number of lucky moves and opportunities to really strike it big with the choices that they had. So we shall see. And they didn't pick another quarterback. So that's good, Justin. You're good. And they rewarded him,
with the Harry Carey Award.
It might be. It could be. And we're going all the way. I don't know why it sounded like Howard Cosell right there at the very end.
end.
It's time for us to check out the Jewel, Yogi's Jewel, for our daily inspiration. Focusing on positivity and limiting negativity is critical to a healthy mental state. Absolutely. Talking about mental states this week in
I
Yogi's
need to
Jewels.
start deleting some numbers out of my phone. Huh?
I like that, Joel. Your girl Yolanda is a real one.
Oh,
And,
we know
and
that.
we should go to her museum too.
Yeah.
The Yogi Museum of Yoga.
Yeah.
Because she is a real one. She will tell you she is that.
She's the only woman to get me to do yoga in jeans.
In
In
jeans.
jeans.
In them jeans.
In
Absolutely.
those jeans.
It's time to make your plans for the HBCU football classic season coming up. Check this out.
Get ready for an epic showdown on September 16th as Morehouse and Albany State take the field for the Toyota HBCU NY Classic at MetLife Stadium.
Football season is back, and this is the game you can't miss.
Join us for the world's largest HBCU homecoming to experience the thrill of HBCU culture like never before.
Enjoy the ultimate celebration with a pregame tailgate, battle of the bands, and an iconic halftime show.
Don't wait. Get your tickets now at hbcunyclassic.com.
That's going to be some.
Woo!
Can you play that
Play
again?
the beginning of that. Play the
That's
beginning of
the
that.
first 3 seconds. That's the first 3 seconds.
Yep.
Get ready for an epic showdown on September 16th as Morehouse and Albany State take the field for the Toyota HBCU NY Classic at
Play it again, Sybil. Play it again, Sybil.
Wow, I already finished.
Y'all are awful. Y'all are awful.
Well, you wouldn't be the first man I've heard that from. All right, you guys, thank you so much. Thank you. It's been a lot of fun. And Chris and Huggy and Coy, you've given us a lot to think about today. We appreciate your conversation as well as the laughs.
A lot to laugh
We
about,
appreciate
too.
it. There was some laughter there too. Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it. See you next week. Take care. Aloha.